Welcome to the Microsoft Tips Showcase, where we provide quick, single-topic videos on how to do something within a Microsoft-related tool, such as SharePoint, Dynamics, Office, etc. These tips are brought to you by SV MacPack, a certified veteran-owned and HubZone consulting firm supporting primarily the U.S. federal government. In support of our customers' need to maximize the value of tools they currently invest in, we started creating related videos. We hope these videos help you as well. In this video, you'll learn how to modify library advanced settings. We'll move quickly to keep the video short, but don't worry, if you don't get it the first time, you can watch the video again to really understand this lesson. Let's go ahead and get started by opening a document library. I have one here called Project Files. We're going to click on the Library tab to open the Library ribbon and come over to the Settings command group and click on Library Settings. Under General Settings, that column, you'll see Advanced Settings. Inside of Advanced Settings, I'm going to show you how to make some of the changes to these options that you see, but I'm not going to expand too far into them because each one of them is a pretty sophisticated feature that we'll explain later in future training. So content types, it allows you to choose yes or no, and the primary way I explain content types is the ability to have a different form or a couple of forms that when somebody uploads a budget, there might be different fields required. If they're uploading a project charter or things like that, there's different fields that are required for that. That's kind of the way you might look at a content type. You can attach workflows to content types. So if I upload a budget, it might automatically send it to our finance people to get approval. If I upload a requirements document, it might send it to the PMO shop to get a quick approval. That's some of the capability around a content type, but here you can quickly choose it. Document template, I think, is pretty straightforward, and here's where you can change it. If you have your own templates, you can just drop it right in there. Each content type, by the way, could have its own template, and that's a unique option as well that comes with that. The next option for the advanced settings is Open Document in the browser. Inside of here, the biggest thing to keep in mind is if your users primarily read the files that are in your library, then opening in the browser is fine. It opens it up quickly into the browser that they're already in, and they can take a look at it and move forward. If they tend to edit, and they're going to be editing pretty often, then you want to sit there and maybe choose the client application. Sometimes people don't even put that option to you, and you just choose whatever has been decided for your organization. But here is where you can make that choice for yourself. The custom send to destination, I'm going to skip for a moment. That's a different training, far more advanced. But here, if you got into it, this is just where you would plug that information. While we don't really advocate folders much, you can sit there and allow people to choose new folders. And here it says yes for new folders, and I'm going to change it to no. And what that means is, from this point forward, the average user will not be able to create a folder within their document library. We'd much rather they use metadata to categorize the data. If you wanted to change that because you're an organization that does like folders, then you would just change it right here from yes to no or no to yes. Search is an interesting one. Allow it to appear in here. You can say yes or no. One piece of advice I would give you is that I would always say yes for search unless it's something that has no value at all to anybody. For example, if it's a lookup list, then you wouldn't need to search that because you don't want those results being displayed. The concern I hear often with this item, search, is that, well, anybody can find my stuff. Search is different than security. If you lock your data down with security and say that Joe cannot have any access at all, well, when Joe searches this library, he will never see that data. Or when Joe searches SharePoint, he'll never see this list in this library because you have chosen to lock him out through security. Search is just the ability to find that data that's on there. We're going to go ahead and, again, skip through some of these ones like index default, non-default views, because that on its own will be its own tip. And what does that mean to you as it relates to creating views? Same thing with reindex the document library as we go into it. Offline client availability is exactly what it says. So you just have the option to be able to specify whether you can use these in offline clients and to download them. Site asset library will go together with another training as we talk about assets within your environment. But here's where you can decide whether this is an asset library or not. And that's pretty handy when you have related tools like a wiki library being able to connect back to this asset library. Quick property editing is just the ability to do inline editing. And right now it says yes, and we can show that when we do view tips later on. The dialog box is an interesting one that people sometimes miss. It's defaulted to no, and what that means is when you click on an item, it'll open up in a full window. It just opens up in a full window. But if you choose yes to launch the form in a dialog, that'll pop up a window on top of the window you're currently on and allow you to manage the metadata in there. I much prefer that because it makes the user feel like they're still in that same location. I'm still in the document library, and I just do my edits and hit save and I'm done. But I can always kind of see that home base, that document library where I started. The last couple that we have, I would just leave the defaults, but indexing goes back to an indexing training that we'll do later. And then the list experience, this is something new as you move forward in SharePoint 2016, SharePoint Online, is right now there's still this classic and new experience, a modern look and feel, if you will, and a classic look and feel. So if you've used SharePoint for a while, 2010, 2013, those looks are going away with the modern look and feel, or the modern GUI that Microsoft's putting out for SharePoint Online and for 2016. But right now they're giving you that chance to be able to say what's there. For me, I'm still a little bit stuck in the classic mode, but you can choose what you want to do here. I'd recommend you bounce back and forth and see what that looks like, because it's a change that's coming and you might as well get ahead of it and get used to it if it hasn't already been forced on you. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of here because that kind of covers our advanced settings. And I'm going to take us back to the home page where I was at. That concludes this lesson. I hope you found this tip useful as you continue to use Microsoft-related products in support of your day-to-day job. Please provide me with feedback in the comments, letting me know how I can make the Microsoft Tips Showcase channel and actual tips more useful to you. Feel free to suggest tips we can create for you, and we'll get them on the schedule. Finally, if you found this review helpful, please share it with others. I'm your host, Neil McDonald with SV MacPack. I thank you for joining me today and hope you'll join me again for other tips.